Skadoosh. Hey, this is C.B Smallwood, and you're watching Wildcat Behind the Page, where we take a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the Wildcat comic, as well as kind of like what's going on in my life and what I'm thinking and everything. Now, first of all, before I get started, if you don't want to hear me talk for about 10 to 15, 20 minutes, then just fast forward to this video right now and go to the art segment. So there'll be art featured in this video in the later half of it, okay? So there you go. And what time you're doing that, I'm going to drink me a Pepsi. I'm going to sit up a little bit more. So let's bring this camera up here. Yeah. There we go. Tilt her back down. So thanks again, guys and gals, for joining me for another episode. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit hoarse because what ended up happening is I recorded about 30 minutes plus of video footage, and my phone was just like, no more record. It's reached maximum limit. And it makes me so mad because I have a freaking memory card in my phone that's got gigabytes on it. Gigabytes. Multiple gigabytes. And it can't handle a little 30 minutes of footage. Oh my God. No. So anyway, technology aside and me making weird little noises, let's go ahead and talk about what progress I've made, what progress I haven't. And if you stick with me, before I wrap up me talking shenanigans, I'm going to have an interesting little story to tell you at the end of this little conversation before I show you art. So stay tuned for that. You might be interested in it or might not. We'll see. So, gosh, I have to re-wet my palate. Running out of Pepsi. First of all, as far as the Wildcat comic book goes, I've made slow and steady progress on it. Things could be done better, and I'll talk about that when you see the art segment. And really not too much to report on that. I'll get to that later, but I'm happy overall with the inks, but I'm still unhappy with the pencils on page 11. But, you know, what can you do? You know, not every page can be a winner. You can only do the best that you can. And I was hoping that when I worked on page 11 that I can improve it, which I have made some improvements. But there's some things that I just couldn't erase out, you know, because, you know, it's a photocopy of the original, and like it only erases so much. Sorry. So I had to ink stuff that I wasn't too proud of, but we'll get to that later on in the video. Next up is I want to talk about the Hapkido comic book that I'm going to try to work on simultaneously. With the Hapkido comic book, it's a labor of joy. It's something I'm very interested in. And actually, before this opportunity came up, I'd already started working on the history of Hapkido, in particular Che Young-sul. I've done lots of research. But when I got this opportunity to actually draw that, which I could have done it on my own, but I kind of wanted to just, you know, document everything, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's just pretty much. It's not pretty much, but it is cool that my interests have, you know, come together in this way. There's still questions about, like, you know, will I be compensated? How will I be compensated? You know, will people like what I've done? Will the person who's commissioned me to do this be happy with it? Will the publisher be happy with it? Will people actually enjoy it? You know, I don't know. It's interesting, you know. Will it even see print? Who knows? Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't care either way. Because, like I said, it is a labor of love, and you know, we'll cross those bridges when we get to them, and I'm just, excited to do the project. Now I have a deadline overall for the first week of April. Now I know the way I take it is I'm assuming that because the conversations about this book's been very loose and very general. But I'm assuming that the deadline's not like ironclad, like I have to have everything finished by the first week of April. But I do need to have stuff to show to the publisher by that point, or actually to the person who's commissioned this, so they can show it to the publisher. There we go. Uh, so lots of work ahead of me. Um, so I'm getting ready to ramp that up and do lots of roughs and get underway with that. Uh, let's see. So, um, mental junk food. Mental junk food. That's the next topic I want to talk about. For those of you that's been with me for a while, you've probably noticed every 6 months or so I upload a video called Mental Junk Food, where I talk about pop culture, comics, sci-fi, horror, fantasy type news. Um, and that's kind of like the idea behind mental junk food. Um, like the phrase itself, mental junk food, that I feel like I've come up with. I've never really heard anybody else use that. Um, Mental junk food is the fact that, not the fact, but the idea that it's not necessarily stuff that's nourishing to the mind, but it's delicious. Because that's essentially what junk food is. Junk food is food that is delicious, but it's not nourishing, right? And so mental junk food is stuff that is delicious for the mind, but not necessarily nourishing. But I guess it depends on how you look at it. So this video series, I had two goals in mind when I created it many moons ago. First of all, is drive traffic to this channel. It's sort of done it. Um, I think the majority of people that have watched the mental junk food videos that are not subscribers don't really subscribe, because I think they need to see more from me before they can commit to it, you know? And I don't blame them. Most of the people that watch the mental junk food series is you guys and gals, and I really appreciate that. Uh, and Pretty much the most successful video that I've had with mental junk food was the one on DC Comics's what's it called? No, Dark Matter, Dark Matter, and I've got like maybe 500 to 600 views on that. That's pretty good for me. That's pretty good for me. Okay. Uh, Usually my video views are anywhere from the 20 to 30 range, give or take. Um, which I'm not complaining about those views, because I love those views as well. Um, and it's interesting, like a lot of those videos are kind of hit and miss. What videos are people going to like or not like, and it's like I thought for sure the Walking Dead one, the one about Robert Kirkman suing AMC, would have been a big hit. No, not really. That thing has like 50 views. It's better than my usual views, but still, yeah, it's weird. You never know what videos people are going to really respond to and what videos they're not. It's interesting. And so anyway, two reasons I created mental junk food. The first reason I just told you was, that sounded kind of condescending, didn't it? I just told you. No, I don't mean it like that. The first reason I created mental junk food was to drive traffic to this channel, so people check out my art and all that good stuff, right? And the second reason I created it is like to break up the monotony. I have very varied interests, from everything from theology to philosophy to um, cryptozoology to conspiracy theories to history. pop culture. I mean, you name it, interested in it all. And it's just a good way for me to keep my interest up and my motivation up, and to get other stuff out there. So that's the two reasons I do mental junk food for anyone that's curious. And I feel like my video editing skills, what time I'm talking about it, have improved. Both on this video you're watching right now, it's not like video awesome where it's like mind blowingly awesomely edited or anything, but it's like I feel like it's a bigger improvement from how I used to do things. Um, and the mental junk food, in the same vein, I feel like things are improving on that front. I got a killer little intro I made for it and a logo, and I feel like it's really coming together in a cool way. I've also been experimenting with thumbnails a little bit, trying to find like uh, the best way to go about things that's quality, but I can quickly upload videos. I've had trouble in the past with wanting to upload videos that are really interesting to me, but they take a while to edit and to put together, And by the time I upload them, it's old news. Nobody's no longer interested in that particular topic that was only relevant in a specific window of time. So, uh, anyway, so I'm trying to put out quality videos that people will enjoy, hopefully, that also are timely. Like I could just knock them out one after another, and not have it be such a big hassle. You know. Um, I'm also trying to work on particular ticks in presentation, so lots of fun with that. Let's see. All right, next topic. Okay, I've been drawing at work a lot lately, and I bought a sketchbook, like a $2 little sketchbook. It's probably got like 25 pages in it, and this sketchbook I have it with me at work, and I take it with me to the library in the school that I work at, and I got my pens and technical pencils and all this other stuff. I sit in the library and I'll take my phone and I'll get on like Instagram or something like that, and I'll look up artists that inspire me, or art that inspires me in one way or another, and I'll either try to emulate it or take something away from it and make it my own. And trying to improve my skills, working on drawing my women better, working on fleshing my style out, um, working on interesting visual elements of storytelling, and just trying to get better altogether as an artist. Um, and I've been enjoying doing that. I don't get to draw as much as I like to at work. Obviously it's work. But what time I'm on break, I try to do it as often as I can. Because I'm trying to really seriously improve. I want to be good. I want to be great. And I don't say that with any type of egotism or um, I don't know, or whatever. I'm not trying to be a big head about it, but I really do want to be great. I feel like if you're going to do something, you should strive for greatness. You know what I mean? Um, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to improve and trying to push myself to do as much as I can. And I don't know what this means, but I guess it's something positive. um, let's see. And the interesting thing about it, and this is going to be a segue into a story that fits into that. What time I'm in the library, I like to look at books, for reference for drawing, but also for books just to read. When I went to high school, we had this thing called book points, and basically there was just one wall out of the whole library, with a series of shelves on it, of course, but one wall that was filled to the brim with books that sucked. Now, I am grateful to the Book Points program for introducing me to Louis L'Amour, which is sort of like one of my heroes. He's a very interesting man, and he wrote a lot of westerns. Um, And there was two other good books that I read in the Book Point program on that crappy wall of books, which was Confederacy of Dunces, um, and the other book was it was some type of sci-fi dystopian future where basically everybody takes like a pill or some form of Prozac, and they're emotionally numb. They never get too joyful. They never get sad, and they're just very complacent with their lives and their lot in life. And this kid, he gets chosen to be the knowledge bearer, and there's only like one of those. And so this old guy basically teaches him the history of the world and stuff like that, and what happened to the world, and why they live the way they live. And then he comes to find out that unwanted children, babies, are euthanized and all this other stuff. And it's really interesting stuff. It's a great book, and I can't remember the title of the book, but it was later made into a really good movie that's pretty faithful. That came out either last year or a year before that, I believe. Um, I think the movie featured Jeff Bridges as the old guy. I could be wrong. Anyway, so Confederacy Dunces, and that dystopian book, and a bunch of westerns were some of the best books in there. Now, of course, everything is just subject to taste. So who knows? Maybe if you could take a time machine and go back and check those books out on that crappy wall, you might find books that I didn't mention that you would like much better. But anyway, the Book Points program, one time I was in high school, uh, was basically you had to get points by reading books and taking a test on them. On the computer, you would take a test on them, and there'd be like, depending on the length of the book, like if it's a regular size book, anywhere from like 100, 200 pages, you're looking at 20 points, about 20 questions. If it's a book that's several hundred pages, you could be looking at like, I don't know, like 30 or 50 points or something like that, which was a lot. And you're looking at like a gazillion questions, that you would have to answer on this, um, answer on the computer, right? A lot of them were yes and no's and multiple choice questions. And to me personally, the Book Points program was a failed idea. It was a terrible idea. Um, I think the idea was to encourage kids to read, uh, which really anyone that's already curious about books, they're going to read anyway. But those that weren't kind of saw it more as a punishment and a deterrent. Not a deterrent, but like just became more resentful of books altogether, because the choice of books that they had, most people that were going to read books in the Book Points program or even attempt it, they read the westerns or they read the girly uh, murder mystery fantasy novels. That was it. Uh, and what few Stephen King books they had were always, checked out. Those were in high demand. Um, so anyway, the Book Points program was terrible, 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 terrible. Uh, it didn't really reward you for reading. I guess they thought reading was a reward enough, but I mean, if you're trying to encourage kids to read, uh, you can't like make it part of their grade and like punish them for not being enthused to get their points. Stupid. They no longer do that program anymore. No longer do that program anymore. But anyway, why it's relevant is now, as I work at this school that I used to go to, uh, I'm no longer looking at the crappy wall of books. I'm looking at the rows upon rows and rows of shelves of books that I didn't have an opportunity to look at, because we could only look at the books that you could get book points on. And so I'm looking at these rows and rows and rows and shelves of books, probably like, I don't know, about 10 different aisles of books, I guess. Um, they've got trade paperbacks on comics. They've got books on Stalin and Hitler and communism. They got books on fascism and books on Mussolini, World War II and one, the Civil War, Korean War, Vietnam War. Multiple books on the history of the world, books on Egypt and Greece and Rome, the Ottoman Empire. They've got books on theology and philosophy. Anything from like I don't know, like Plato, for example, or Plato. Is it Plato? Plato. I just say Plato. Plato. um, and a lot of his students that came after him, books from those guys. And um, there's like books on, like, for example, Islam and Christianity, I think. No, well, there's only one book on Islam. And a couple books on Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, um, Buddhism, I think. And they got books on cryptozoology, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, on and on and on it goes. Um, they got books on diseases. They got books on karate, self defense. I mean, oh my goodness, there's just so many interesting topics that I would have loved to been exposed to, but instead, when I went to school, I only got that crappy wall of books, and the choices were severely limited in what you could read. um, and story time, okay? Story time. Um, so one day, I'm on break at work, and I choose not to draw anything. Instead, I'm just going to read something. So I'm going through the aisles looking for things that interest me. And I find a book, and it's called The Prophet of Islam. I think that's what it's called. The book looks like it was written in the 70s or 80s. I don't know. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of like in the back of the library, way back. And then all my coworkers are way up front in a little huddle around this coffee table. And there's like these sofa chairs and stuff like that line around um, the coffee table. So I'm sitting there reading this book, and I'm about 10 pages in, and so far I've made it to the part where it's talking about the early life of Muhammad in Medina and Mecca, and how he got married to his first wife, the elder lady, and talked about the possibilities of Muhammad growing up in the caravans and the trade system, and what Mecca was like and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. So I'm reading this stuff, and I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of off by myself, and I'm just enjoying it. And my coworkers are cutting up with one another, and of course, they notice the oddball sitting in the back of the room, and this one person hollers back at me, and is like, "Hey, what are you doing, Brian?" Well, I'm just sitting here reading. It's like, "What are you reading?" Oh, well, I flipped the cover over, and the Prophet of Islam. And then this person, my persecutor, says, "The Prophet of Islam? Isn't that, isn't that the people that's trying to kill us?" All right, yeah. I guess that's the people that's trying to kill us. And you see, the thing is, I don't have time to explain Wahhabism and all this other stuff, and all the intricacies between the Sunnis and the Shia, and all the little oddball sects that nobody knows about, and the comparisons between holiness and Protestants and Baptists and stuff like that. Uh, because I know as soon as I start to go into that stuff, I'm going to lose them, so I'm not even going to try. But um, so I'm like, yeah, I guess so, yeah. I mean, very basic answer. It's like, why are you reading that? I'm like, well, it interests me, and it does. It interests me. I'm interested in many, many, many different subjects. Um, So anyway, and I'm like, yeah, it interests me. And my persecutor says, it's like, what is it? What did she say to me? I can't remember. It was something like, um, oh yeah, basically inferred that that I was a crazy person, that I would be unstable, and you know, I would do something that a Wahhabist would do in a school like setting, you know, which I felt like was a highly inappropriate joke on several different levels. And this person is joking, but you ever had somebody joke with you, but they have an element of seriousness to what they're saying. You know, it's kind of it's borderline passive aggressive, and it's borderline a couple of different things. But anyway, I was getting some shade thrown my way, and I didn't appreciate it. Um, but I was cool about it, uh, as much as I could. But um, I tried to make a joke out of it and stuff like that, and laugh it off. And later on, I did get this person back. I did throw them a zinger, and I insulted them so good that uh, I don't think they're going to critique me anymore on what books I read or do not read. But to wrap it up, it does offend me that you know why should it matter what choice of books that I read? Uh, the phrase, mind your own business comes to mind. And oh yeah, I was also insulted. Yeah, not insulted, but well, yeah, I was. But like, it, this person went on a rant against me, talking about like how I need to go to church and I need to read this and read the Bible and read all this other stuff. Inferring a lot of things, being very direct about a lot of things, and basically labeling me and then making assumptions about me. And like for those of you that watch my channel, I don't really say this that much, but I consider myself a Christian, and you know, I I don't feel that reading different things challenges my faith or challenges what I believe, you know, and I don't get butt hurt by people's different beliefs. I don't get upset, if atheist or agnostic or whatever, tries to challenge what I believe, as long as they're being, what's it called? As long as they're, being nice about it, and they don't have ill intent, they're not trying to hurt me emotionally or whatever, they're just honestly just having a honest goodness discussion, Um, but like, I don't know, it just annoys me, the way people act and how ignorant people can act and how people make assumptions about other human beings. Like I said before, I'm really, I love theology. I love learning about, Judaism and Islam and Christianity and all the different faiths. Zoroastrianism. I can't even pronounce it. Uh, Yada yada yada. I have like two or three different translations of the Quran. I have like four or five different translations of the Holy Bible, and um, like I guess it's called like there's the King James version, the New Living Standard, and American something other translation, yada yada. I really want to get a Armenian, not Armenian, Aramaic. I like to get an Aramaic to English translation of the New Testament. I'd love to have that. Um, but anyway, and I got different books on philosophy and everything like that, and it just offends me, like the idea that just because you read this one thing, people try to label you this or that. It's like if I read a book on Islam, does that make me a Muslim? No. If I read a book on Christianity, does that make me a Christian? No. If I read a book on Stalin, does that make me a communist? No. If I read a book on Hitler, does that make me a Nazi? No. You know, people are more complex than that. We can't just sit and label people and make assumptions about who people are based on one little particular thing. Human beings are a lot more complex than that. We shouldn't be so quick to judge and throw labels on people. I hate that. I hate throwing labels on people. I despise that. Because a lot of people in this world, they try to make sense of life around them, and so they try to label people like you're the joker, you're the strong guy, you're the smart guy, and you're the weird guy. You're popular. You're not. You're the hard worker. You're the slacker. So forth and so on. But people are a lot more complex than that because we're more than just this one stupid thing, whatever that thing may be. And you gotta judge a person by the whole, and you gotta know the person by peeling back all the different layers. You know, and it just annoys me that people want to oversimplify things to fit their narrative of what they want their life to be. So that their life makes sense to them. And I don't understand why things have to be so. Gosh, I'm losing train of thought. I'm just frustrated. This story actually happened a couple weeks ago, but I've just gotten now to recording it. Not because I was like super massively upset. I was super annoyed when this happened on the day of, but um, you know, um, I since verbally spanked that person very lightly, and they've not come back for any more insults. But it's interesting, right? Um, so anyway, moving off this topic, folks, if I could actually sit down with this person that persecuted me, that actually never really meant me any offense for the most part, they were just um, at the time, this person that was giving me a grief, they were actually being redneck themselves, and they were trying to deflect and send a lot of that stuff my way, so that way it would take all the heat off them, and kind of to change the topic, you know. But like I said, I hate labels. I hate people trying to put people in the corner. And you're not just this one thing. And just because you read this one book doesn't make you that. I mean, like I got books on witchcraft and the occult. Does that make me a witch? No. I got books on UFOs. Does that make me an alien? Who knows? I don't feel like I belong on this planet anyway. But you kind of get my drift. Just because you read something doesn't mean you are that thing that you read. You're just interested in it. Knowledge shouldn't be this thing that's frowned upon. And I've never seen. No, I shouldn't say that, but I do not understand how people gleefully embrace ignorance and gleefully embrace and love and celebrate being stupid. You know, that's a shame. I mean, I love learning new things constantly. I'm like if I could compare myself, I'd be like if Galactus didn't eat planets and Galactus only ate knowledge, that's me. But yeah, I'm Galactus. So, oh boy, this is kind of a long story. I don't think anybody's gonna watch this video. This is over 30 minutes long. I really don't. I don't. Oh boy. But I knew this was going to be a long video because I had all these different little topics and I planned it out a little bit. But it is what it is. So that's it. That's it as far as this. I tell you what, folks. Let's go ahead and head over to. I reckon I'm scratching my nose. Let's head over to the artboard and let's check out uh, my art and see what all I've accomplished and not accomplished, and hopefully I haven't offended nobody by my conversation. If I have, I apologize. Artboard. All right, folks. In this massively long video, for those of you that are still with me, I really appreciate it. But you're looking at what is probably the best panel on this whole page. There are some improvements that I've made on this. Still some things to work out, like for example this gun. You know, I need to do a little bit of shading on this gun. Um, but for the most part, pretty much done with this panel. Just need to try to erase some things. And it's kind of hard to do because, well, let me show you. Let me zoom in here. For example, you see this stuff up here? Now this paper is, I forgot if they called it cardstock or what they called it, but anyway, this is a photocopy of the original 11 by 17 drawing. And so I inked the photocopy so that way I can keep the original pencils. So I got my handy dandy eraser, and you can make the photocopied pencil marks fade. It takes a little work. Fade just a little bit, you know, but you can't necessarily get rid of stuff entirely, you know, unless it's already kind of super faded. But that's okay. I just showing you that. But yeah, I'm going to go in and try to erase a few things and kind of clean stuff up a little bit, you know, the best I can. And so we get down to this second panel. Made a few improvements here. One thing is, you know, I made the rock arm look pimping. You know, it's not like super awesome, but, you know, it looks pretty good. I hate this arm. I wanted to fix this arm. I really did. But the thing is where the pencils are so definite, you know, and photocopied, that it would just look like a garbled mess. So I decided just to kind of ink it as is and try to do what little I could to fix it. It still looks all right for the most part, but it's just so anatomically wrong. Everything from the shoulder muscle to all this other stuff, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm going to go in with this jacket over here and fix it up with some whiteout and stuff like that. And that brings us to the bottom two panels. There we are. Really liked how this branch has turned out. Looks pretty cool. And I'm added some more foliage, and not foliage, but, you know, tree limbs up here. And I'm going to do the same thing for the background once I get a little bit more ink to these guys. And zoom in here. I improved a few things on Wildcat's face, made him look a little bit better. You can't really tell for one reason or another, you know. But, you know, I made a few improvements there. A couple of other flaws I want to point out. You know, it's probably not the best idea in the world. Not happy with this chain. I'm going to work on my chains in the future. I'm going to try to make them less one-dimensional and flat. You know, I realize this looks flat, but, you know, I'm hoping people will forgive me and look over the overall thing that I'm putting out. And I'm going to try to get more of a habit of when I get back in the pencil stage, you know, penciling things out more on a scrap piece of paper, which I did do with this comic book, but I could have done it a little bit better. And try to work some of these issues out beforehand, you know. But I will say, though, that on this particular page, page 11, I was just trying to, you know, hurry up and get to the next page because I think I must have procrastinated there for a while, and I was trying to get the progress levels back up. And not every page can be a winner, you know, but I should still strive to do the absolute best that I can. And when I know that I can do better, then I need to do better. You know what I mean? If you know you can do better, then just do better. Don't Don't just slop it down and say that's the best I can do. You know, I mean, if I know I can do better, then that's what I should do. You know, right? That's the way I look at it. You know, and that's not me putting down anybody else's method or whatever. That's just me mainly talking to myself. So yeah, here we are on these bottom panels with my really bad anatomical perspective going on here. It's all out of whack. Hence the tree limb to try to fix that. I'll probably put a few more in here, honestly. And then we got this. I think everybody can pretty much tell what's happening here. You know, here's the fist. He gets punched against a tree, but like comic book wise, I've never seen anybody do this. You know, it's just yeah, that's, you know, it's like I like the panel but don't. So anyway, getting ready to wrap this page up, and I just want to say to everybody that you know, watch this video, first of all, if I said anything to offend anybody, because anytime you talk about, you know, politics or religion or any stuff like that, it's very divisive, and I don't want to divide nobody, and I don't want nobody angry at me for expressing an opinion. You know what I mean? So I apologize, and please forgive me. I mean nothing mean by it. And secondly, if you've stuck through this video from beginning to the end, I really appreciate it. That's really cool of you, you know. And that's pretty much it. I don't know when the next update for Wildcat Behind the Page will be. I'm going to be, you know, pretty busy as far as like, you know, working on this and on this project, and also working on the Hap Kiddo project and all this other stuff. And I'll probably put out a couple more mental junk food videos here and there, you know, and see how that goes. But anyway, I really appreciate all the, you know, the love and effort and all this other, well, about love and effort, but all the love I get from you guys and gals. As always, for those of you that are new, or even the guys and gals that are still here, please remember to like, subscribe, and follow to be kept up to date with all my shenanigans if you ain't already. And as always, if you leave a comment, I'll try to write you back within a week or two. I'm a lazy dog, and sometimes it takes me a little bit of time. And this is C.B Smallwood, and you've been watching Wildcat Behind the Page, and I will catch you in the next video.